Welcome guys to another video. Today we have something a little bit more special. Yes, it's a hot hatch, but not any hot hatch. Today we have the 2015 Golf 7R. Volkswagen stuck with the philosophy that if it's not broken, there is no need to fix it. And you can clearly see this with the 7R. Now, if you look at a 7R, from afar you might confuse it to be a normal Golf 7. Ways in which you can tell that this is not just any ordinary Golf on the road is such as there's a very subtle R badge on the front grille. Another way you can tell this is something special, there's a line that runs from headlight to headlight, incorporates into the grille. We saw this starting out in the Mark 5 GTIs, whereby you had a red lipstick line. With the Golf 6R and the 6 GTI, you also had a distinguishable lipstick line. But I think with the 7R, Volkswagen decided, let's target a little bit more of a mature audience. Maybe they'll appreciate the car more, so they decided just make it very sophisticated. Another way you can tell that this is something a little bit more unique is such as there's some inlets on the side, the right side and the left side. Now, behind this we have your oil cooler, your transmission cooler. Because this is a performance car, you need to cool your oil, you need to cool your transmission oil.
The side profile is also a subtle look for a hot hatch. Unlike its competitors such as the Focus RS, the Golf maintains a very subtle look, but don't be fooled. One look at what's hiding behind the 18-inch wheels and you'll understand what it really is. I mean, look at the brakes, 340mm ventilated discs. Considering they're only a single piston caliper, many might think they are not enough, but consider standard Mark 5 and Mark 6 GTIs came with 312mm single piston calipers, and many owners decide to upgrade to these iconic R calipers, which tells you something. The rear. When it comes to the rear, VW will like screw it, let's make it look loud. We've got 4 exhaust tips, which I must say, sound really good for a stock car. When it comes to practicality is not left behind. Although the R compromises roughly 40 liters of cargo space, the reason it's compromising 40 liters of cargo space is because the standard GTI, which is a 2-wheel drive variant, does not need the 4-wheel drive components at the rear. So this is what takes up roughly 40 liters of cargo space.
When it comes to the interior of the 7R, it's actually quite surprising how sophisticated it feels in here. With you having all leather seats that feel very premium. When it comes to cabin space, with it being a hot hatch, you may think that there's going to be little room. This seat is actually positioned where I'll be sitting when I'm driving, and you can see there's quite a bit of leg room. And if you're carrying 4 passengers in this car, trust me, they'll be quite comfortable, because if you put on your seat belts, with your seat belts on and you actually have a cup holder over here, it's actually quite comfortable in the Golf 7R. So what's a Golf R? Some of you might want to know. Simply, the Golf R is an all-wheel drive version of a souped-up GTI. That's what you could say. The Golf R started out its journey in 2002 with the Mark 4 R32. With this version, it was the first Golf to come out with all-wheel drive. Now, this all-wheel drive was a 4-motion system and was powered by a 3.2-liter VR6 engine, producing 240 horsepower. You can imagine 240 horsepower back in 2002 was quite a lot, considering now we're only doing 300 horsepower. The Mark 4 R32 was also the pioneer of the DSG gearbox, which is surprising. Many of you guys might think that the R32, the DSG gearbox came out with the Ferraris or Mercedes, but no, it actually started out life in the R32 Mark 4. The R32 was also a very rare car. Like in Kenya, I've only seen one black R32. So by the time they were coming out, it was not a very common car for importers to bring it in. After this version came out with the Mark 5 R32, which in my personal opinion is the best looking version out there. Reason being, if you look at the back of the Mark 5 R32, the center tip exhaust, and apart from that also the chrome grille at the front makes it look outstanding. If you look at it compared to the Mark 5 GTI, you can tell that this is something a little bit more on the serious end. When you come to 2009, the Mark 6 Golf R came to life. Now with the Mark 6 Golf R, this is whereby the Golf R started coming out with its name as a Golf R. Reason being, the 2-liter turbo engine has come back. Now, this engine was different from the normal Mach 6 GTI. With the Mach 6 GTI engine, it was still a 2-liter turbo producing 211 horsepower. But with the 6R engine, it produced 260 horsepower, but the block itself was different. The block was reinforced. It was a reinforced block with a bigger turbocharger, bigger intercooler, bigger injectors, and also the chassis. It had dynamic chassis control, it had bigger brakes. You could tell that this is something a little bit more serious, especially with the all-wheel drive system of the 6R. The 6R was also preferred by modders. When I talk about modders, guys who took the car and tuned it to 600 wheel horsepower, 700 wheel horsepower, it was a very capable platform, especially if you were to build the block. If you built the block of a Mach 6 Golf R, it would be a very reliable car. But now Volkswagen took this, they learned from their mistakes, and in 2015 they came out with the 2015 Mach 7 Golf R, which was a very refined car. It still is a very refined car. And it takes a lot of attributes from the Mach 6 Golf R, but there were some differences. Engine was one thing that's different. It's a new generation engine, and they made everything a little bit better. Like when it comes to fueling, the Mach 6 GTI or the Mach 6 Golf R only had 4 injectors. This one has 8 injectors for more fueling. So if you're to upgrade it, you could actually get quite a bit more power out of this. The turbocharger. The Mach 6 Golf R was pioneered with the KO4 turbocharger, which was slightly bigger than the KO3 that came with the Mach 6 GTIs and the Mach 5 GTIs. But with the Mach 7R, they produced the IS38 turbocharger. Now, this is a slightly different turbo from the classic KO4s, KO3s, because this one produces 300 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque to all 4 wheels of the 7R. And the way power comes in the 7R is actually quite smooth. It's actually quite surprising. When it comes to now driving experience of the Golf 7R, the 7R has multiple driving modes. So if you were to put it in comfort mode, which is what we'll start with, if you were to put it in comfort mode, the suspension dampers, it's got dynamic chassis control. So the dampers of the suspension, they smoothen out, the exhaust is a little bit quieter, and this car has something called a sound actor. Now, a sound actor is artificial sound. It makes the car sound more sporty than it is with the stock exhaust. So if it's in comfort mode, the sound actor is turned way down. So like right now we're cruising along in comfort mode, 60 kilometers per hour. It's very comfortable, it's very refined. And you know, that's the thing with the Golf R. If you want a car that you can track on a Saturday, go to church on a Sunday, go to work on a Monday, and take your girl out on a date on a Friday, it's a perfect car. So in comfort mode, it's very economical. You'll probably be doing around 11 kilometers per liter, but the drive is quite boring. There's a time we talked about the Evo 10. Way last year we were talking about the Evolution 10. That was an FQ330. And I remember feeling how the Evo 10 was very aggressive. I've not experienced the newer age STi, but with the Evo I found it to be quite aggressive all the time. Even if you're driving slowly, you'd feel like the car just wants to go. But with this, if you're in comfort mode, the car just silences down, and it's a very strange experience. But like, okay, when it comes to the modes, there's comfort mode, there's normal mode. So with normal mode, it's a little bit, on normal mode, it's a little bit stiffer, not too much stiffer. You could feel it change a little bit. The sound actor is a little bit louder, and the steering is a little bit heavier. So it just feels like a normal car now. It's starting to feel more of a GTI. But that's not where the party begins. The party begins when you go into race mode. So if you go into race mode, immediately the car changes. You can hear the sound. The sound is way louder. So the sound actor, okay, the engine sound is also louder at this stage, but the sound actor is also activated, making it a little bit louder. So you can hear the sound is a little bit artificial. So if you were to upgrade the exhaust, the car would sound way better. And when it comes to the steering, you know, the steering has actually tightened out quite a bit, and the feel is quite amazing. But see, with the Golf R brakes, the 7R features bigger brakes. It has 340mm brakes. So if you need to stop in an instant, trust me, the car will stop. But the dynamic chassis control is probably the party piece of the Golf 7R. Watch this. We're in race mode right now, yeah? Race mode, comfort. The car quiets down. If you're with your girl, she'll not be as annoyed as before, and you're cruising along right now. Now let's talk a bit about the transmission. The transmission is a 6-speed DSG gearbox, a classic DSG gearbox, but it powers the rear wheels via transfer case. Now, if you guys remember, with the Audi A4 video we did a couple of weeks back, we talked about how it's a linear engine with a quattro system. Now let's talk a little bit about the transmission. You guys remember a couple of weeks back, we talked about the Audi A4 and how it was a linear engine with a quattro system. With the Golf 7R, it's a transverse engine, meaning the engine runs from right to left, and there's a gearbox on the complete left. Now, attached to the gearbox is a transfer case that takes power to the back. And when you're driving this car in normal mode, it's a very smart computer, this all-wheel drive system. It's a Haldex version 5 system, but it's quite smart. So if you're driving along in normal mode or comfort mode or eco mode, it's primarily a front-wheel drive car, so it can be quite economical. But immediately the car realizes that you're trying to have a little bit of fun with it, it will send power to the rear. And it sends power to the rear via clutches. It has a viscous coupling clutch in the middle that connects to the rear diff. And when it connects to the rear diff, it can send up to 50% of power to the rear, meaning it can... the car can do this. Now, when it comes to the handling of the 7R, surprisingly, it's a very tight handling car, because these corners are a bit tight. They're quite tight corners. So when you let off of the throttle and you turn in, the turning is quite sharp, it's quite precise. But when you step on the gas, okay, I'm in comfort mode, but when you step on the gas, you feel the car pushing you out of the corner. It's a very, very nice experience. And you know, it's not something that you'd get out of your normal 5-door hatchback, which is quite a nice experience. The all-wheel drive system also has a sort of torque vectoring system that can limit torque between the right axle and the left. Like the Evo 10, it had AYC, but now this one uses a slightly different system. Back to normal. This one uses a slightly different system whereby it uses the brakes of the car to individually brake each wheel to make sure that the cornering is just about right. With this being a hot hatch, you know, it's a German car, hot hatch German car. It's laden with a lot of features. Trust me, if you're a kid, I am sort of a kid, you'd get quite excited with the amount of features with the amount of features in the 7R. Now, starting with the cruise control system. The cruise control system, it's actually an adaptive cruise control system that allows you to set your distance between you and the car in front of you. So you can actually, if the car in front of you is 10 feet ahead and it's traveling at 50 kilometers an hour, the car will actually follow the car ahead at the specific speed. If the car was to speed up, you'd also speed up. If the car was to slow down, you'd also slow down. Another feature, the infotainment of the Golf R is exquisite. Trust me, when these Germans come to their audio systems, when these Germans are talking about their audio systems and producing their audio systems, they make one of the best audio systems around. When it comes to the speakers of the 7R, if you were to put the speakers on full blast, you wouldn't actually hear the outside world. You'll enjoy your music on the inside, and you'll have a small party on the interior. See, so if you have your passenger and you don't want them to know you're actually driving quite fast, just put on the audio and they won't really know what's going on, which is, it's a plus. And you know, with the qualities, like everything you touch is premium. From the seats are leather. From the dashboard, it's a soft touch leather material that feels quite nice. From the door feel, like the third when you close the door, it's a very premium car. Now, don't mistake this to be your Mercedes-Benz or E300, E350, your Audi A4. This is on a league of its own. Yes, you can compare it to the STi, to the Evo 10, but this is a hatchback. This is a car that you drive to the market. This is a car that you go pick your kids up in school with. This is a car that looks the part, it talks the part. And if you want to go, geez, it pulls, and you come with brakes. Told you it has brakes. Now, when it comes to horsepower ratings of the Golf R, you know, 300 horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque is quite a lot. With the Audi that we had a couple of weeks back, that was only 200 horsepower. This is 100 horsepower more, and trust me, you can feel it. But the most important bit is the torque. Torque comes in from around 2,000 RPM all the way to around 5,000 RPM. So the car just pulls and pulls. It pulls like a freight train, which is quite impressive. Some other features that this car has is such as launch control. trying to launch, you're trying to show off to your friends, you can launch the car and it does 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.8, 4.9 seconds, which is quick. Considering you have Lamborghinis doing it in 3.5 seconds, 3.2 seconds. Okay, granted, Teslas do it in like 2.5 seconds. 4.8 seconds in a road car in Kenya producing 300 horsepower. It's quite enough. It's quite a lot. But you know, the good thing about driving around Nairobi is you'll rarely have to use all the power. Before you go any further, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. Now, with the 7R, we prove it's a very sporty car, a very reliable car, a very practical car, user-friendly car, easy car to drive, and the ultimate hot hatch around. If you're looking for something that's all round, consider the Golf 7R. Now, if you guys really liked the video, make sure you like the video down below. Comment on your views, suggestions, what cars you guys would like to see us review. And all round, we hope you guys have enjoyed. Till next time.